will be televised. The revolution will be televised. And I'm just going to pretty much, have a conversation. Hopefully some of you in the chat, and we can really talk about what's really going on today. I didn't put anything in actions because I'm thinking, they got filters out because somehow, some way, they're doing some strange things. Okay. They're doing some strange things. And what it does is it makes human beings, that's real. Okay. It pretty much allows us to step our game up, because when you're dealing with the powers that be, truthful and you're being honest, and you're dealing with adversarial entities that pretty much want to end the world. Now, the days and time that we're living in, you're seeing a lot of people being exposed, a lot of coming out of the woodworks. A lot of things are coming out of the closet. Been going on for a very long time. And when I say a very long time, I'm talking about 20, 30 years. And then all of a sudden, 2024, now all of a sudden, these certain things and these, allegations are starting to come out, just like with Jay-Z. The situation that supposedly happened in 2024 with a 13-year-old in 2020, that was actually 24 years ago. That was actually 24 years ago. And in my mind, I'm really trying to understand why now. Okay, so what's going on? Why are things, people being exposed? Why are situations starting to transpire? Why are, we are allowing drones to fly over the state of New Jersey, and then the FBI have no clue? And then why a day after these drones are flown over New Jersey and the FBI can't even answer, why did Christopher A.Wray, the FBI Director, resign? So what's going on right now? The revolution must be televised. Revolution must be televised. We got drones flying over the state of New Jersey, and the FBI has no clue. Said in Congress, was grilled by Congress, and had no clue of what was going on. And these were drones. These were actually what I would say the same size as vehicles. Okay, the same size as an SUV, but the FBI has no clue as to the association or who, behind these drones. And this is why we cannot be, have a two-tier government. This is why we got to literally come together as a people, one nation under God, because national security is being threatened right now, because there's an entity that's anti-God and anti-American, and it's embedded in our government. Okay, there is no way, no how, human beings here in America, that they should be allowed to fly drones big as SUVs all over the state of New Jersey, and the FBI has no clue of behind it. And then the next day, the FBI Director Christopher A.Wray resigns. Okay, and at Inauguration Day, when Biden administration is out, he's actually out. Okay, what are we dealing with? What are we going to do about it? And this is why we have to be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So therefore, we're going to have to push the line. American democracy does not exist anymore. American democracy is dead as we know it, because American democracy is anti-American and anti-God. The Democratic Party is the party that does not want you to talk about God. The Democratic Party is the party that wants your son to be a girl. The Democratic Party is the party that will invest in genocide in foreign nations and put more money in foreign aid than it does in domestic aid. There's no way we should be, not at the top from a global perspective when it comes to cleanliness, when it comes to, being organized, when crime, when it comes to finances. America is supposed to be the greatest nation in the world, but somehow, some way, the Democratic Party has been compromised by foreign nationals. Somebody told me a long time ago, money. And if you look at the Biden administration, you look at the Obama administration, you look at the Clinton administration, these individuals, they act as if they want to support the United States of America, but somehow, some way, they're doing all of these things with these foreign nationals to literally destroy our country. This is why the Democratic Party lost the way that they did. This is why 13.6 registered Democrats decided to not show up at the polls or vote for the Democratic Party in which they were Democrats. So now we get an opportunity to see how this thing is supposed to work when you have a body of nonpartisan independents and then you have a president and we got the Constitution on our side. So now that we can actually do what we supposed to do, but we got to tell the truth and shame the devil. The baby boomers, they're the culprits. Blacks, more importantly, who basically go out and say that they're the best generation, but they're the generation that sold their souls to be successful. And then the Democratic Party invests in women, and then they also invest in homosexual men. Dealing with homosexual men, just because a homosexual male might be of the black race, it does not represent the race. It represents the entity that's given them an opportunity, because their main objective is to be normalized, accepted. But clearly the people have spoken and they never will. This is why we support the Trump administration as well as Project 2025 on day one, that the Trump administration is going to recognize male and female, and that's it. And if you didn't know, there's doctors, a major doctor here, a UCLA student is suing one of the major, transgender trans doctors that's in existence. Hit the notification, because I'm going to be doing a full video on that, because they're going to start suing these doctors who are doing prescribing puberty blockers, doing surgery on children, pretty much abusing the kids. And this is why the black race is disassociating itself with the Democratic Party as a whole, because the Democratic Party as a whole, especially in the state of California, they voted yes on Prop 3, which ends all rules for marriages. So in the state of California, same-sex marriage was the thing. Okay, we voted for that. Marry who you want to marry. You can marry, same sex. That passed during the Obama administration. And Kamala Harris pretty much performed the first same-sex marriage, at the state capitol as Attorney General. So now that the Democratic Party in the state of California have voted yes on Proposition 3, that removes all rules for marriages, opening the door for incest, opening the door for mothers and dads being optional to marry their own children. So how can we protect the children? This is the duration, and this is why we got to separate ourselves from the Democratic Party as a whole, because the party is anti-God and the party is anti-American. Okay, and if you're anti-God and anti-American, you're literally suicidal, and you'll be willing to do anything just to affect other individuals who are trying to do it the right way. So now that the people have spoken, the Democratic Party is in shambles. You got stories coming out about, racism within the party. You got Democrats pretty much talking about, having exit conversations about they didn't get paid. They were discriminated upon. You had a group of individuals in the swing state of Pennsylvania who pretty much made the Dunkin' Donuts, their headquarters, and pretty much ran their own operation using nonprofit money, because the Harris administration wanted to waste money on murals and entertainers. And all the money that they wasted on these murals and these entertainers pretty much bankrupt the DNC. So now the DNC is in the red $20 million after somehow, some way making the record and raising $1.6 million in campaign funds. But somehow, somewhere, they're $20 million the red. And they invested and pretty much paid these celebrities and these influencers and these black sellouts in the names of Rolanda Martin, which is Roland Martin, the D.L. Hugleys, the Steve Harveys, all of these guys whose credibility is pretty much shot. Al Sharpton, so think about it. So now these individuals are going to be blackballed by the black community because of them selling them souls, because when I see the entertainer, go on record and promote Harris, and then he blocked the comment on his social media page. Magic Johnson did the same thing, and Magic Johnson contracted AIDS when, AIDS was a homosexual thing. And Madison was associated with the, Hugh Hefner, he partied at the Playboy. And so he was pretty much, doing the P. Diddy things before P. Diddy. And look at his son, no different than Dwayne Wade's son. Now that his under son or daughter is standing 6'4" now with pimples and starting to look weird, this might be another situation, but you can see how these individuals sold their souls for something. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is, but I guarantee you they took the oath from the devil. If you follow me, I'll give you everything. So now we got to follow God and show the devil and the world that it is more important and advantageous for us to do things on the right level and be more successful and do it in the light, because it's time to turn the light on. Because when I look at Jay-Z, Jay-Z's been in the business for over 30 years. And now all of a sudden, an accusation comes out of the woodworks 24 years ago that he supposedly raped a 13-year-old, took turns with P. Diddy, and there was a celebrity B in the presence, and the internet is talking, and they're basically saying that is J-Lo. J-Lo already paid off the individual. She already paid her way out. And this particular lawyer that Jay-Z talked about, an ambulance chaser, there's this guy that the individual that's suing Jay-Z is a renowned lawyer. He has an entire building at Texas A&M University. The apartment facility is named after him. So he's not some ambulance chaser. So we're going to see how these things play out. But I just want to ask y'all, man, why now? Why now are we dealing with these things? Okay, like I said, Malcolm, I hear him in my head. The chickens are coming home to roost. So now that you can see that these individuals do not represent the black community, these individuals do not represent, humanity. These individuals only represented, and pretty much use the black card to pretty much promote and do all the things that they did to become successful. So now they got to get out the way, because the black man is a moral human being on the planet. And you're going to see how successful we are. You're going to see how righteous we are. And you're going to see how we're going to, for the first time in our lifetime, take the mantle that was pretty much, misused, led by the baby boomers who sold their souls and going to die in the wilderness, for the homosexual black man who pretty much, sacrificed his whole culture to be successful. And these rappers are nothing but actors. Okay. As men, the Will Smiths and all of that. So now you're going to see, how it really get down, because we are establishing what we call presidential oversight. Okay, we're going to hold the sitting president accountable. We can care less if it's Republican, Democrat, Party, Green Party. Our job as American citizens who embrace this Constitution, and then the first time in our lifetime, we get an opportunity to stand up, tell the truth, and shame the devil. And we thought we was in good hands with the Congressional Black Caucus. We thought we was in good hands with the Urban League, with the, NAACP. We thought we was in good hands with these black celebrities who were supposed to be representing the black race. But clearly their democracy is dead. Their democracy is over, because their democracy is anti-God and is anti-American and is being funded by foreign nationals. Okay. Now, George Soros. Okay. Just look at all these entities. Look at the energy with China. Look at what's going on in Ukraine. Look at the money laundering scheme, that they are funding, with Zelensky. Look what's going on in Israel. Okay, we could spend trillions upon trillions of dollars outside of this nation, but we can't even make sure that every American citizen got his bare necessities. But this is a new day. Inauguration can't get here any faster, because you're going to see the black movement, the civil rights movement, which turned out to be civil wrongs. It wasn't civil rights. You're going to see, because we have to focus on race. And if we focus on race and race, our race is our grace. And if we focus on the race, then we can actually right the wrongs of the past and become assets versus liabilities. And it's going to be so fun by standing up and representing a brand that never had representation. We've never had representation ever. When have we ever sat back and held a president accountable? You know, we voted in Bill Clinton. What did he do? Signed the 3 strikes and you're out bill wrote by Joe Biden. And then we voted him in. What did he do? And then we voted in the first black president. And he comes out to be the first gay president in American history. You can look at the Newsweek article. They put out an article and put Barack Obama on the cover as the first gay president in American history. And if you look at his policies, what did he do? Champion, you know, the LGBTQ Elemental Peace Society. He didn't do anything for his race, but sit back and use us as a catalyst and as a sexual male, as a great actor. As a great actor. These guys are great actors. That's all they are. They pander and act as if they're heterosexual, moral men of values that got morals, willing to stand up for righteousness. But at the end of the day, these guys are liars. These guys cheats. And at the end of the day, we cannot trust any homosexuals ever. OK, and like I said, whatever you do, do what you do. OK, it's not said I can't judge. I'm a former whoremonger, but I'm not going to promote fornication. And I'm born again. And my job is to stand up and be a part of the leadership movement that's going to take America to the place that it's supposed to be. OK, because Dr. King said, mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. OK, Dr. King saw the promised land. What happened to Dr. King's dream? OK, the Bible says old men dream, young men have vision. So the dream that he had, we visualized it. Now this is our opportunity within the next 4 years to bring that into fruition, because the party of slavery, Jim Crow, the party of mass incarceration literally is done. So now we get an opportunity as nonpartisan American citizens to establish presidential oversight and hold the sitting president accountable as a nonpartisan organization. OK, embrace the Constitution. We embrace our Pledge of Allegiance. We embrace all of that to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. And Benjamin Franklin said, America is a constitutional republic if we can keep it. But somehow, some way, over the last 150, 160 years, we've been fighting it out against the Democrats because they wanted to turn the page, turn your son into a girl, turn your girl into a boy. They wanted to kill babies and have abortions at the 3rd trimester, meaning abort babies after the baby shower, after the gender reveal. So now this is what we're dealing with right now. So just like Harris said, we got to turn the page. We're not going back. When they turn the page, it says the end. And the first thing the Trump administration is going to put into fruition in an executive action is to sign documentation to recognize male and to recognize female, period. It is what it is. Nothing's wrong with that. It's either XX or XY chromosome, male, female, and that's science and it's biblical. God made male, he made female. It is what it is. And the future is so bright. And this is Sean, I'm responding. The future is so bright because the Democratic Party, the party of slavery, the party of Jim Crow, the party of mass incarceration is no longer. It will never exist anymore. The Democratic Party, the DNC, invested in women and homosexual men. And it's over. So think about that. OK, if you look at the Bible, the devil attached himself to Eve and Eve attached herself to Adam. So now that we understand that the devil could have Eve and her homosexual sons. OK, because if you're not trying to practice righteousness, if you're not trying to sanctify yourself, which simply means separate yourselves from these evildoers, separate yourselves from not only your sin, but their sin, and stand up as a human being. So now we get a chance because the biblical prophecy is over. There's a biblical prophecy that I cannot continue, that I can't stop repeating in the book of Genesis and in the book of Acts of the Apostles. And it says the children of Abraham will be stolen from their land. They will dwell in a foreign land and will be casted as slaves and duly oppressed for 400 years. And it reads, after that, I, God, will punish the oppressors and my people will come out with great wealth. Who is the only people or only race in America that was actually stolen from their land, dwelled in a foreign land, and casted as slaves over 400 years. Think about it. And the first documentation of the transatlantic slave, I'm not talking about indigenous natives. I'm not talking about the Native American. I'm not talking about any other entity but the individuals from the transatlantic slavery. And that basically was documented, and you could look it up and confirm, okay, anything that I say, fact check it. Okay, Jamestown, Virginia, on the day, August 20th of the year 1619, the first 20 odd slaves was documented in the United States. And that's literally the birthday. And that's when the time. So if you subtract 1619 from 2019, that's 400 years on a 66 on the leap year calendar. But if you do the math on the 360 calendar, the biblical prophecy expired this year. This is why we feel free. This is why we feel liberated. This is why God is coming to us in dreams. This is why the Holy Spirit is setting us apart. This is why we're beginning to be on one accord. Okay, because this is why 13.6 registered Democrats, 13.6 registered Democrats decided not to support the Democratic Party. And that's the strongest coalition known in American history. Because this is what you call a mass exodus, and the party will not exist anymore because America is a constitutional republic, and God-fearing human beings will make sure it stays that way. And like I said, the word black is an acronym for Black, Latin, Asian, Caucasian kinship, meaning one race, the human race. We are all connected. And if you want to do the anthropology thing, okay, all humanity was created on the continent of Africa and in the 9 series DNA. The 9 series DNA created 2 split sixes, which is the Asian as well as the Caucasian. And anything else, Homo sapiens, I'm not talking about Neanderthals. The Homo sapiens are humans and connected in that diaspora. And this is why we're standing up against unrighteousness. We're standing up for the truth, telling the truth, and we're shaming the devil. And the first time in our history, we're going to be fighting for the rights of the human beings here in America. Donald Trump said on the campaign, and this was, for the working class as well as the middle class. Donald Trump said that no tax on tips. Okay, eat that. Okay, because the waitresses, okay, the exotic dancers, they don't need to be paying taxes on tips. Okay, that will help them out a great deal. He said no tax on overtime. Okay, so anybody that's a working class or middle class wage earner, no tax on overtime is specifically for you, black, white, or indifferent. Okay, and the majority of the country of the United States is, the working class and the middle class where black people fit. So from a default perspective, if you are in our class, it's going to benefit you, but that's specifically for black. Okay, here's another one. No tax on Social Security insurance. And Social Security insurance is taxed 20% bi-weekly, meaning twice a month, 1st and 15th, they get their Social Security checks and it's taxed at 20%. So if we can put this thing together, oversight to the president, and make sure that he fulfilled these campaign promises. Think about the 40% increase for a senior citizen for an individual that's pulling their SSI insurance. And he also is playing with and having conversations and going to be taking meetings about, for retirees, tax exemptions for retirees. So this is how we do the work. This is the work of the Congressional Black Caucus. This is the work of our elected politicians, our senators, our our congressmen. We're going to do the work because they're not doing the work, because democracy means they have to be the opposition to America, and they got to promote ungodly bills and legislation. There's no abortion bill on the planet that's godly. Now, we can have a conversation about, term limits. Is it the first trimester, second trimester? But on the campaign trail, when asked, Trump asked Harris, what is it, the 7 month, 8 month, 9 month? What did she say? Come on. That was her only question. And they said the same thing against walls. And I'm not just stay out of it. I'm sitting back like saying, wow. I look at that Bible. What did they do? They was killing all the boys, killing firstborns. Okay, because the devil knows that killing God's babies in the womb or outside the womb is hurtful to God. Think of so that as a campaign strategy, we respect the right to choose and all that. It was so immoral. 13.6 million people had to stand down. And then you look at the southern border. Look at the southern. That's a threat to national security. How can we be one under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, when you have a particular party that wants to kill children in the womb and out the womb, who have a open border to allow migrants and immigrants, illegal aliens to come into this country unvetted? Think about that. So let's have these real grown up conversations. Look what's going on right now today. Okay. If you did not know, there was drones spotted over the state of New Jersey, the size of automobiles, and it just pretty much broke the internet. Okay, they called an emergency meeting and brought in the FBI, and the FBI pretty much went on record and said that they have no clue of who's behind it. They have no clue what's going on. And the only way things can happen is if you have a duopoly. A Republican Party that loves this country and a Democratic Party that's anti this country, because anybody in their right mind understands that we live in America. And if anything happens to America, it affects us all. 9/11 affected everybody. OK, so you can't have a duopoly, Democrats, and wanting America to be damaged, because if something happened to America, you're going to be affected as well. So this is why the Democratic Party has to be dismantled. OK, has to be, because national security is a threat to every American citizen. And now this is our moment in time for us to thrive. OK, for us to be, assets versus for us to, get rid of the welfare state. OK, get rid of the IRS. OK, because we can actually pay taxes and more taxes through consumption. You can add a nickel, not a 2 cent, 3 cent tax, because here in California, Measure M for the metro, they put a 2 cents tax to raise funds. And within 6 months, they raise, $450 million just on 2 cents. You take that on a national scale and you put taxes on consumption, we actually, spend more money during consumption, because the more money you have, the more money you're going to spend. Because when you look at the IRS, that's pretty much, that's slavery, that's sharecropping. OK, before you get your paycheck, you paid, taxes to what? Just for them to have a salary and to have a job. This is why the Trump is doing what they're doing. And then when you talk about the national security aspect in terms of drones being flown over, New Jersey, why is it that 2 days later, the FBI Director Christopher A.Wray resigned? Think about it. He was going to, get fired anyway. But why did he just go on record? Because he don't want to be associated with what's going on, because the world does not like America. OK, the Democratic Party is outside of America. Look at how they burn the candle on both ends. OK, what's going on in Gaza? That's genocide to brown people. That's genocide to brown people. That's genocide. Palestinian people. This is why Rashida Tlaib and the Palestinian Americans did not support the Democratic Party this time around. A lot of people not really trying to have that conversation, but remember the squad. OK, Rashida Tlaib, and the Muslims was all behind the Democratic Party. But now the Democratic Party is funding Israel. And what Israel is doing is genociding the Muslims. And then when try to defend themselves or ask a politician, more importantly, the last presidential candidate, which is Kamala Harris, and she sit back and she'll bring up October 7th. OK, now, America, we're one of the best, armies and special units in the world. You mean to tell me we could not strategically go find and hold the individuals accountable for October 7th and bring them to trial, or death by sea, or whatever you did, however you did bin Laden and ICE and all of that? So you mean to tell me you got to destroy and kill millions upon millions of people, of Muslim, Palestinian in Gaza, and that's man, woman, and children? Think about that. And then we as American people act as if that's okay. So this is what I'm saying is, when the Bible says, I, God, will punish the oppressors, this is our moment in time to separate ourselves, because it's not if, it's when. So when God punished the oppressors, we are not supposed to be with them, because the only way that they can survive is they attach themselves to blood-born believers, blood-washed believers, sanctified individuals who believe in God, and somehow God is not going to harm them because he's not going to hurt us. But if we disassociate ourselves, okay, at the end of the day, they don't even have to be hurt, but the party has to be dismantled, because in American history, the original sin, by clearest day, the original sin is slavery. And it's embedded, rooted, and grounded in the Democratic Party. And then they lie to educated people and sit back and make you think that it was Republicans putting poll taxes when it was the Democrats in the South charging $2 to vote when blacks didn't have no money. Think about that. The only time that they made a decision to bring us on as a unit is after the assassination of Kennedy. Kennedy was the first Democratic president who pretty much was an immigrant, Irish, okay, who spoke highly of the black people who come from the Northeast, okay, not a Southerner. And they got Kennedy, but what did they do? They blew his head off in Dallas. And what happened? After they blew Kennedy's head off in Dallas, what happened? Lyndon B. Johnson became president. And B. Johnson was a Dixiecratic Southerner put on Kennedy's ticket so he can get the Southern vote from the Southern racist white KKK. Then when Lyndon B. Johnson was up for re-election, he basically stated in his own record, go get me those Negro leaders. He brought in Dr. King. He brought in the NAACP. He brought in everybody and pretty much signed the Civil Rights Act, which was supposed to be about race and discrimination against the black people, the transatlantic, but they added creed, they added nationality, they added ethnicity, they added sex in terms of male and female, and we're still dealing with the same thing to this day. Nothing changed. And this is when it's on as Democrats. Now they take you to the polls now. Okay, Harris is on records, bringing party buses to, just to fill up these events. Harris millions upon millions of dollars to entertainers to fill up these arenas on her campaign trail, on the campaign trail. So now that we know the jig is up, now that we know we need to figure this thing out moving forward, now we saw what we saw. Okay, the Trump administration won the popular vote as well as electoral college in a way that we have never seen. So now that the Democratic Party is okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. Who's the face of the Democratic Party? What happened to the Congressional Black Caucus? Why no black men in politics outside of celebrities of Magic Johnson, Usher, who was groomed by Diddy, Magic Johnson, who partied with Hefner, whose son's a homosexual. Okay. All of these individuals, these entertainers, the D.L. Hughley's, the Cedric the why did not any black organization or group, and I'm speaking of the Congressional Black Caucus, the NAACP, the Urban League, why didn't none of these organizations support the Harris campaign? And then you have individuals like Puffy who would get behind the presidential candidate, because remember, to die was a big thing. You remember he got Obama elected. Okay, he got behind Hillary, Jay-Z, and Beyonce brought her out. Why not this time around? And then all of a sudden, these people locked up behind bars, and now all of a sudden, allegations of not incest, but child rape from 13 years old to, coming to fruition from one of the biggest moguls in the music and entertainment history. Why now? They did not support the Harris campaign. So we as individuals, this is our opportunity to come to as a people. This is our opportunity to stand together as human beings, one race under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. This is our opportunity. But we have to do our first work over, meaning the civil rights movement. It did not pan out the black race. OK, they created, black leaders. They created, black, faces in high places, kind of like, the Jesse Jackson world, the Al Sharptons of the world, who pretty much sold us out. Because Jesse Jackson, came out talking about I am somebody. And then they pushed this African-American agenda. When the Black Panthers was saying, I am a revolutionary. You see how they changed that in history. You see, the Black Panthers was saying, I am a revolutionary, just I am a revolutionary. But then Jesse Jackson took that and in history, I am somebody. OK, if you think about the baby boomers, the black baby boomers, they fought just for the right to sit at the table with the white man. Think about that. All those videos getting water hosed and pushed in the back and beaten. Somehow, some way they fought to be a part of that. And, to set the record straight, all of that is Democratic then and Democratic now. So we fought. We got to segregate. We got to desegregate the Major League Baseball. OK, only condition, destroy the Negro leagues and destroy any black leader and black ownership in any sport. And then we'll go ahead and pick this good Sambo Negro, Jackie Robinson, that's going to be smiling and all that because, they're going to call him nigger every day. They're going to do all types of things to him. But we need this Negro to keep smiling. So we're just going to pick this one. OK, but destroy everything. So, we're going to go down to the Winn-Dixie and want to sit at the table and we're going to make the white man serve us, throw milk on your head and spit in your coffee. But they wanted to sit there and sell those just to be accepted. And they did that sound instead of going to the juke joint down the street, and instead of going to the mom and pop owned by the black man, because when it was segregated, we had to have things in Black Wall Street, Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma is an example of that. We had to have our own thing. And we were doing it so well that the KKK will come, burn, intimidate, and destroy anything that we ever had. And then if you really think about in history, OK, the federal government got involved in the debacle or the dismantlement of Greenwood. OK, because it ties white men and they literally burned down the city of the highest economic situation in Black American history. They said that the dollar recycled in Black Wall Street over 1,600 days. You're talking about almost 3.5 to 4 years that recycled. But the federal government, along with the Democratic Party, with the aid of the Republican Party, dismantled. So now as individuals, we are at a cross. And the beautiful thing about the 2024 election is that on January 20th of 2025, there's going to be a eulogy given and the party is going to die forever. But the beautiful thing about it, the road that we used to go on, if we go that way, the road is destroyed. Now, the other way is pretty much starting off brand new, trying to be accepted by the white man. So we're not finna go be no Republicans. OK, we'll work with the MAGAs as MAGA plus. OK, we have to fight for, equity in our hoods and barrios, because we need to change our neighborhoods and our barrios and communities, because communities have banks. OK, they have healthy food. They have good education. And they recycle their dollars, as well as we get an opportunity to promote marriage. Now, the black man is not marrying the black woman. because the black woman has pretty much bought into an operation to where she basically, she don't need a man. She could do anything a man could do, but that's only in the black community. I've never heard that in any other race culture, but in the black race, because Willie Lynch said, the Willie Lynch science says, on that woman. And if you focus on that woman, she will raise her big, strong son to be feeble-minded and to be just like her. This is why you have a large volume of homosexual black men in the last 20 years than you ever seen in history of the world, because these women are raising their sons to be homosexuals and their sisters are aiding and abetting the process. Think about it. So we got to break these chains. We got to break these shackles. We got to tell the truth and shame the devil. It is what it is, because God's people shall not perish due to the lack of knowledge. And for the first time in our history, as a nonpartisan body, as an independent body, is going to work with the sitting administration and make sure that they do right by the people, because we got a document called the Constitution, and that title says "We the People." So our first effort is to make sure on that campaign trail, when Trump said no taxes on tips, that's going to help the dancers. That's going to help the waitresses. No tax on overtime. That's going to help the working class and the middle class who are not on the salary income. And then he said no tax on Social Security insurance. So if you are a Social Security recipient, you're going to get a 40% increase on your bottom line. And then he also played and toyed with the thought of no taxes on retirees. So these are things that we're going to be fighting for, lobbying for, and working for the American people, whether you black, white, brown, or indifferent, because by default, if you are not in the class that you think you're supposed to be in, and you happen to live in our neighborhoods, happen to live in our community, happen to, function by default, you are part of us. But we're going to fight for things specifically for black people, and it will be beneficial for anybody that's American. So when they ask Harris, what is your specific plan for black people? Don't do nothing just for black people. She lost us. Okay. And then the version, acting like the southern border is not a threat of national security, the whole nine. So it is what it is. So we're going to have to figure this thing out. So now we get an opportunity to be free. This is what freedom sounds like. This is what it looks like. Okay. The biggest threat to American democracy, it wasn't Trump. Their democracy is not the black man. The biggest threat, their democracy, is God, because their democracy is rooted and grounded in the Antichrist and anti-American. And the root word, for Pete's sake, means demon, diablo. The root word for Democrat means demon, diablo, or devil. Look at it. Demon, D-E-M-O-N. Think about it. If you want to, something that's fake and fabricated that's not real. Okay, well, here's a demo. Just like if I told you I'm a platinum artist and you asked me, why you're not on Spotify or Apple Music? Oh, here's my demo. That means I'm lying. Okay. If when we invest in real estate, okay, and if it's a tear down, what do we do? The first thing we do is demo, meaning tear it down. Demolition. And then if you want to, make your opponent look bad, what did they do to Trump and what do they do to individuals? They demonize them. Okay, so what I'm saying is I'm speaking on the root word. So we got to what it is. And if you want to know what krat means, krat in the Greek and Hebrew means to rule or rule by. So the word itself, based on the root word, the prefix and suffix, means rule by the devil. Oh, what does Republican mean? Supreme power. Okay, that's what it means. Because when you re-up, rehabilitate, okay, understand that. So now we get an opportunity to do what's right, okay? Because we've been failed by the Democratic Party because they got played for the okie doke. They got hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray and running amok. And that's why anybody that they invest in, they tear down and destroy, because look how they allowed P. Diddy to be a billionaire. Look how they allowed Jay-Z to be a billionaire. And look what they're doing right now, because these guys have pretty much looked in that mirror and maybe they made sacrifices. We're going to do all of these things, and it's going to be a good time, for us to sit back and make a change, because I'm not defending P. Diddy at all, but he changes him to love. And I saw him on the Breakfast Club interview talking about we need to do something specifically just for the tribe, for our tribe. And then he talked about reparations. And the next day, the Cassie video that was documented in 2016 came into play. And I'm sure behind the scenes, Sean Carter, Jay-Z was pretty much trying to do the same thing. So now if they make you, they can break you. But if they don't make you, they can't break you. See, they didn't make us. We stood back and we believed that they were looking out for our best interests, but they were looking out, confirmed by Kamala Harris, looking out for the check writers, the donors, these foreign nationals and these foreign entities that invest into their campaigns to get them elected. That's all they care about. And now the jig is up. And now we as American people have an opportunity to stand in solidarity as human beings, one race under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, and fight for the rights of the people, and to make sure that the party never reinvents himself, because the party was supposed to be done at the end of the Civil War. And they lost the Civil War. And they lost the Civil War to the Union Army, okay, with General Ulysses Grant, Abraham Lincoln, at the threshold, who pretty much enlisted the newly freed slave. And this is why he signed that Emancipation Proclamation, because they saw that because they had over 3,000 newly freed slaves enlisted in the Union Army, and they fought in the black regiments, and they helped the country defeat the Democratic Dixiecratic South. And that's factual. So now we got to have these conversations and understand, what is the pathway moving forward? What are we going to do moving forward? Because what they did at the end of the Civil War, they assassinated Abraham Lincoln. And Andrew Johnson, the vice president at the time, was just like Lyndon B. Johnson, a Southern Dixiecratic Confederate. He pretty much put the criminalization clause in the 13th, instead of the 13th Amendment reading neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, it meant neither slavery nor involuntary servitude unless criminalized. And they used the criminalization clause at the black codes. And then they put in, the Vagrancy Act of 1866, which was 2 weeks after the Civil War, meaning if you was a black person who appeared to be homeless, jobless, wandering, looking for displaced family members, you was actually put a ball and chain in your ankle, and you was forced to do involuntary servitude. And we're still operating under those laws today, because in the state of California, Proposition 6 did not. And that was to basically end slavery in the state of California, meaning involuntary servitude in prisons, which is the same criminalization clause that built the South on 100% free labor. And we did not issue until the civil rights movement. And what happened to the civil rights? We got plagued. It was supposed to be about race, but they made it creed, sex, nationality, all of these things outside of race, because we were supposed to be coming the 60-year anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. But we celebrated 60 years of pride and 60 years of women empowerment, which includes white women, and pride includes white men. So this is of white supremacy that we've been participating for a very long time. So now we got to really understand that these are things that we can't do anymore. We got to tell the truth and shame the devil. Because like I said, on Inauguration Day, when Trump is sworn into office, when the FBI director steps down, now we can talk about national security, and now we can hold, these people in power to be accountable, because there's no way that the FBI should not know where these drones are coming from flying over New Jersey. But when you got a duopoly, when you weaponize the Department of Justice, when you weaponize the FBI, when you make it political, they're not fighting for the country. They're fighting for, who are, motivating them, or whoever got their arm up their back in terms of the puppet master. So this is why we got to come together as a people and make sure it is what it is. So now that we get an opportunity to stand up to unrighteousness, Now we get an opportunity to tell the truth and shame the devil. Now we get an opportunity to hold the sitting president accountable. And by default, Trump happens to be the guy. So he will be the one that we will be lobbying for a constitutional amendment to take the criminalization clause off the Constitution, to end mass incarceration, to end slavery in the United States. And that comes with an atonement, and it actually comes with, reconciliation. So this is what for a long as no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and for senior citizens to be tax exempt. This is how we win. We got to go into history books, and we are pretty much documenting new history, because the great separation and the new world order will go into effect in 2025. So when they talk about Project 2025, like I said, that's something that the Heritage Foundation created, but as individuals, as human beings, documented in American history from 2025 until beyond. And it's going to be a beautiful thing, because a lot of people are talking about doom and gloom, and, you're going to see what's going to happen and what he's going to do. Let's listen. God is in control, and he's always in control. All we got to do is repent, because the kingdom of heaven is at hand, and follow God, because he will make us fishers of men. And once we fish for men and women, and we get on the same sheet of music, then we can draw up bills and legislation that's going to be right for everybody. Everybody. It's called the win-win. It shouldn't be win losers. Okay. Because after the election, I had to hug a few of my sisters. I had to motivate and encourage a few baby boomers, because they realized that they built fortunes on a false axle, and they're literally going to die in the wilderness, because they're ready to make the move to the promised land. Because like Dr. King said, mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. And he talked about the promised land. So this is the path, and that promised land is for us to inherit the earth, and more importantly, inherit the United States of America. So with that being said, man, I love y'all. No captions today. The powers that be was blocking. So I just had to go in. And like I said, and if you are on, notification, we're going to be going up, rewatch it, because like I said, this was all off the dome. God is good, and this is what we're going to do moving forward. You, God bless. Until next time, this is your man, Bushan Glover, Better Black America TV. Peace out.